So if you're just starting a YouTube channel and you really want to start off strong and invest in some equipment, my suggestion is to hold off on that if you can and make 10 videos with what you have, even if all you have is just your smartphone that records video. You want to make enough videos where you develop a routine for the video creating process and also a style of video, a type of video, your kind of signature way of conveying your stories or your information, so that once you determine those things, you can figure out what part of the process that you want to upgrade. Maybe you make vlogs on the go, so you might want something a little more smaller and compact. Or maybe you do a lot of talking or interviews where there's a lot of dialogue. So you definitely want to get a camera that allows for an external microphone that can actually plug into the camera so you get better audio. Here are a few things that you can consider as you're creating these first few videos to see if that's something that you're going to want to invest in. All the equipment I'm going to be sharing is stuff that I used from day one all the way to now, 3 years later. So if you want to check out any of the products that I personally use, you can find everything on Amazon. I'll leave links in the description underneath this video. So first off is the camera. And for me personally, I used what I had when I first started out. So a lot of the times I was using my smartphone, which was not the iPhone 10, which I'm using now. I can't even remember what it was, maybe the iPhone 6.
Before we begin, I just want to let you know that this entire video was shot using my iPhone 6. Also, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel.
If you are using your smartphone, the thing that you'll want to get probably is an iPhone or a smartphone holder and also some kind of tripod. I happen to use the huge Joby Gorilla tripod, but they make smaller ones. But you want to be able to stand your smartphone on something where you're not just limited to like a bookshelf or something. Basically goes in like this, and you can actually stand this up on a table, and then that way you can talk to your camera without having to hold the thing. For the first 2.5 years, I would say for, I don't know, maybe 350 videos on my YouTube channels, I used this thing. This is the Canon S110. And it's so light, I can't even tell you. I absolutely loved this camera. I would still use it, except that I dropped it way too many times, so there's like this weird audio thing, but it's still pretty good. I took this across the world on trips with me, you know, shoved it into my bag. This thing is super durable. I think they have an upgraded line now, like the S120 and stuff like that, so you can consider that. But personally, I use 2 of these. Here's the other one sitting on the shelf here. 2 S110s, and these were workhorses. Especially if you're gonna be vlogging, I highly recommend these cameras. Another camera I had was the T3i, I think this is. Yeah, the T3i. And I used this camera mainly for my tutorials where I just was kind of sitting in front of the camera like this and explaining some kind of concept. I like this just because the resolution was better, but also mainly because I can actually use an external microphone so that the audio is a lot better. And this just goes on top of the camera like this, and it's a directional mic, so when I was sitting in front of the camera, I would just talk straight into the microphone. And as much as I loved this camera, there is no external mic input. So that's another thing that you might want to consider. The other thing you want to consider is also whether you can use lenses or not. So for obviously a DSLR, you can use lenses that are suited to your needs if you're doing, you know, really close-up macro shots where you're trying to get a lot of detail. You definitely want to get a lens that can bring that out on camera. You want to get an external microphone, perhaps. It really makes a difference. I cannot emphasize the impact of audio in video. It really allows the experience of watching your videos to be more immersive. So this is the VideoMicro from Rode, which I used for a really long time, but right now I'm using this microphone, which is the Rode VideoMicro. I really like it because it's a lot smaller, and I put it on top of the camera that I'm using now. Oh, which I totally didn't even talk about. I use the Canon M50 now, which is kind of a hybrid between, like, honestly, this camera and this camera. It does have interchangeable lenses. It does have an external input, but it's a lot smaller than this, a lot less bulky. It's a good all-around camera, but you know, if you're really trying to get into video production, Cameras are out of my league when it comes to that. I recommend my boyfriend's channel actually. Go check it out, The Enthusiasm Project. He's all about cameras. He teaches digital media for high school students, so he uses so many cameras. He can really tell you what works for your needs, what doesn't work, stuff like that. All right, now the editing program. Editing is probably the thing that scares people the most. It does probably take the most time, but for me, what I used was just iMovie, which is a free app, free software on the Mac. I loved it. I also used to use iMovie on my iPhone, so even when I was just recording footage on here, I would just edit right in here because I wasn't really doing anything complicated, especially with videos like this. All you're really doing is kind of trimming and cutting. You're not doing any serious color grading or transitions and effects and keyframes and stuff like that. Any basic editing free program will be enough to get you started. But if you do want to invest, I personally use Final Cut Pro, which is $300 one-time fee, and I absolutely love it because it's basically a super crazy version of iMovie. So if you like iMovie, it's intuitive, it's simple, you'll also really like Final Cut Pro. If you can't already tell, I'm all about Mac and Apple. That's all my products just because I like how they all sync. So if you're PC, I'm sorry, I can't give you any input or recommendations on what kind of, gear to get. I just haven't used a PC in, years. And then the last thing that you might want to consider investing in is lighting. For almost 3 years maybe, I never bought lighting. I never needed it because I just used the sun. I would film either in front of my bedroom window or I would film outside. Now I do use 2 lights. There's these like colored wash lights in the back to really light up my studio, but I also use a box light and a ring light, which I'll show you right now. So here is the box light, the Fovitec box light. And here is this ring light. It's great, and I just shine it on that so it bounces back at me. And if you want to see the cameras that I use, here's the Canon M50 and this Amazon Basics tripod. Now, a bonus thing that I would recommend getting pretty early on, especially if you're going to be filming a lot of content, is an external hard drive. I keep all of my footage, every single thing I've ever recorded. I like to make montages every now and then. I like to repost content every now and then. And also I like to make social media clips. If you are doing this for the long term, which I think most people, that's the goal, that you're doing it long term. You want to keep everything organized from the get-go. However you want to organize your footage is up to you. I do everything by date. This is the Samsung Portable Ssd, so it's a solid state drive. There's no spinning parts in it, so it's really durable, and it's super fast to edit with. So that's what I would recommend to get started, things that you want to maybe think about when you're first starting your YouTube channel, but not until you make a few videos. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people buy a camera before they have even recorded a video and realize that maybe that wasn't the camera to get. You don't know what camera to get, you don't know what gear to get if you don't even know like what your process is or what kind of content you enjoy creating. That's the beauty of YouTube, right? Is that there isn't one type of video or one way to make a video. It's totally up to you. The possibilities are endless. Make enough videos where you feel comfortable at that level and it's time to level up, right? So just like keep making videos, you're learning, you're developing a process, and then once you hit a plateau, all right, what kind of equipment are you gonna get to take that to the next level? Because with every piece of equipment that you get, there's a learning curve. I can't tell you the learning curve. I'm still learning how to use this Canon M50 and it's been like almost a year compared to this thing, which was like super simple, auto focus, everything, like no audio, it just was like point and shoot, right? Now, if you want to check out other reviews I've done on camera gear and equipment, you can check out this playlist here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And with that said, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.